Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the upcoming invasion of the polar vortex. It is coming in just a few days, and it is going to last a long time. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content. Also, make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. Now, I have something new to announce. We have a channel membership now, so you might notice there's a join button sitting right next to the subscribe button. You can join our channel membership and get access to things like badges and different emojis you can use. Also, there's just different features with each tier. You can check those out by hitting that join button. It'll let you know what each tier offers, so you can go ahead and read that. There's two concerns I could see this bringing up in your head. If you're an everyday viewer, you're probably thinking, does this mean that I'm not going to get the same content I used to get, or are you going to have to pay for it? Absolutely not. I'm only going to be making new content that I never used to make for the channel membership. Okay, so this is going to be new things. I'm going to be putting in more work to the channel. And second off, if you're a patron, you might be wondering, does this mean you're transitioning from Patreon over to this, and you're not going to be making Patreon posts anymore? That is also not the case. I actually have huge plans for the Patreon page, so if you guys are patrons, look out, because I am coming out with a bunch of new awesome content for you guys. Anyway, check it out. I think it's really cool. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, how long do you think that this polar vortex is going to last? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Sorry for this rambling on. I just had to do this announcement thing in the beginning of this video. Now, let's take a look first off at the 5th of February. We're going to be taking a look at entirety one-day increments here. We're just going to be going on the GFS. Each model has this Arctic outbreak, but we're going to be using the GFS here today because it goes out the furthest. So, as you can see, there is some cold air already around for the upper Midwest in portions of the Great Lakes, but really a warm horseshoe is going on around that. That is not going to be the case coming up soon. As you can see, as we reach the entire day of the 6th of February, you can see that already is expanding. If you're anywhere in the greens, you're about 10 to 15 degrees below normal Fahrenheit. If you're in those second kind of purplish blues, that's where you're at about 15 to 30 degrees below normal Fahrenheit. And in those kind of magenta shades, that's where you're 30 degrees below normal or more. So we're already in just a couple of days talking about extremely potent cold air, but that is only going to get worse. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on towards the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and beyond. So we're going to take a look at that in just a moment. Alright, now here we are taking a look at the 7th of February, and you can see it's just become a bit more expansive and potent. We're starting to get some of those brighter pinks, which is where we're pretty much approaching around 40 degrees below normal Fahrenheit. So let's say your average temperature is 40 degrees. Well, you're at about 0 degrees. So this is already very extreme. Probably, debatably, from what I've been discussing with some of my weather friends, this is probably rivaling some of those Arctic outbreaks we've had in 2018, 2017, even 2013 to 2014. So there is some examples of some Arctic outbreaks we've had that are similar to this, but they're not every year that you see something like this happen. So this is actually quite extreme. By the time we reach the 8th, though, you can see it actually, it does expand, but we see it kind of push back a little bit west. Montana getting the worst of it by this frame. Also northern North Dakota there and northern Minnesota. That's not too surprising, but we do have very potent cold air around for all of these regions. And you can see a lot of that cold air is reaching the East Coast by this point, just not the extreme cold air. The East Coast at this point is around 5 to 15 degrees below normal, which is pretty far, but just in comparison to what we're seeing out west, it's not really that bad. Now, that is going to change, so what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to move on towards the 9th of February, then the 10th, then the 11th, and we're just going to move on further and further and further. Alright, so this is the 9th of February, and as you can see, the southeast ridge tries to kind of push in. It tries to make itself known here. That is also going to come to an end eventually, so we're going to be watching for that. But as you can see, we still just have those magentas and pinks all around for the plains, the upper Midwest, the Rockies. This is an extremely long-lived Arctic outbreak. Usually when an Arctic outbreak is of this severity, typically you only see it last a day or two. It's the very extreme events when it lasts, 3, 4, 5 days or more. In this case, it looks like it could be more, which is so extreme, guys. I don't want to downplay this at all. This is almost borderline historic. There will be records broken, so it is technically going to be historic, in my opinion. But it really is. It just rivals some of the bigger Arctic outbreaks from what we're seeing here. So let's just go ahead and move on, and we're going to move on towards the 10th. And again, that southeast ridge is trying to push in and contest against this cooldown, but that is not going to stand a chance against this cooldown, which, as you can see, is creeping its way east now. So we still have that very potent cold air all over the place. Let's take this to the 11th, and you can see it's even closer to the east coast. So this is just making a trek towards the eastern seaboard. That southeast ridge is losing this battle. It is kind of just falling back with each day and receding further and further and further. The surprising thing here is that we still have those magentas set up over Montana, North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin. This is going to be so long-lived. That is the most impressive thing about this, is just how long it looks to last on these models. I mean, absolutely crazy how long it looks to last. And it's going to go even further. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on towards the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, and beyond. So we're just going to keep moving on with this in just a moment. So here we are by time we reach the 12th, and as you can see, those greens have now reached the eastern seaboard. Like I said, that's going to get worse and worse and worse. So as you can see, those greens arrive, and that's where we're going to be 10 to 15 degrees below normal. So this is already talking about, some more potent cold air. But look at that. Still the pinks, still the magentas all around for the north central United States. I mean, absolutely crazy. I know I've said it so many times, but this is just, as a weather nerd like myself, it's crazy to see something like this. Even those darker blues surrounding the magentas is already very extreme. So down there for Texas, South Texas, Louisiana, I mean, you guys are going to be talking about very, very potent cold air. Let's move this on towards the 13th. And again, finally, we see some of that magenta breaking up, which again is 30 degrees below normal or more. We see it spreading around, but it is becoming a little less potent by this point. Finally, the eastern seaboard, you see some of those blues show up, so 15 to 30 degrees below normal. We're talking about the long range already, but once we take a look at the teleconnections, you'll be able to tell that this looks to be a pattern that is going to kind of just dominate February. I think I really do feel like this negative AO pattern is going to really take hold this month, evidently, because in a couple of days we will already be talking about this Arctic outbreak being here. In the short range, I'm extremely confident in it. The medium range, I'm highly confident. And in the long range, I am moderately confident that we will still be in this kind of a pattern. Let's take a look at the low temperatures on Friday the 12th. I just want to show you guys this so you can see how extreme it is, because we've been talking about compared to normal, but we haven't talked yet about how cold this actually could be. And as you can see, for portions of Montana, North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, including Chicago, this could mean 15 degrees below zero or more. Some of those regions like Minneapolis are about 30 degrees below zero. So this is absolutely insane how cold it's going to get for some of these regions. Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, some of the southern states that are in that far below normal temperature area. Well, this means lower 20s for you guys. So this is absolutely crazy. And for those regions, that's what's crazy for them. For Minnesota, negative 30 is what's crazy for them. So it is kind of a similar comparative to normal, but it is insane no matter where you're at because you're so far below normal. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at the 14th, the 15th, the 16th, the 17th, the 18th, the 19th, and then we will finally be done. We're going to take a look at the entire 10-day increment. And then we're going to take a look at what the European model has to say, because you might be wondering, why are you only showing the GFS? So we're going to get multiple opinions there. And then we're going to take a quick look at the teleconnection so I can explain to you guys why this is happening. And then we're going to close out the video. All right, so here we are taking a look at the 14th, and as you can see, we still have those magentas set up all over the place. Absolutely crazy that this is still happening. Those deeper blues are still for the East Coast. By the time we reach the 15th, same story. It's becoming a little less potent by this point. Now we're talking about the long range, so the confidence is a little bit lower, but still, I mean, I just really feel like this pattern is going to dominate. Once we take a look at the teleconnections, I'll be able to explain why. Now that we're taking a look at the 16th, you can see it is clearly becoming less potent. There's still greens and blues everywhere, which in a typical event, that would be very cold. But considering what we've just went through, this will probably feel quite warm. People will probably already be ready to go outside, go to parks. I mean, quite honestly, it's going to be so much warmer than it was before. And as we can see by the 17th, it's warming up even more. And then by the 18th, you can clearly see that we have above normal temperatures moving into the central United States. So it is just going to feel so nice after that massive cool down. And then by the time we reach the 19th, it appears like that pattern will fully move into a warm pattern. Although this is extremely long range, guys, so there's no guarantee that this does come to a full end to that extremity, because at this point, we could go into a pattern of kind of slightly below normal. I highly doubt we will stick around with that polar vortex. That would be absolutely historic if we see that last till the 20th or beyond. But I do think that it is possible we see some sort of, colder pattern, but not nearly as cold as it was before. Again, that is a longer range. And once you take a look at like 240 hours out plus, which is 10 days. So anything beyond the 14th, really, we're taking a look at way less confident. Way less confidence in what the model is showing. So let's take a look at those 10-day increments real quick. This is the 4th through the 14th. So again, this is that 10-day range where I feel quite confident in it. And for a 10-day range, this is absolutely crazy. Those blues over Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and even in through Ohio. Again, that's 15 to 30 degrees below normal. Northern North Dakota and northern Montana looks to be the coldest, with 30 degrees below normal or more for that 10-day increment. And then the 10-day increment afterwards, it moves a little bit further east. It becomes a little bit less potent. This is the 10th through the 20th. So this is like the furthest the model goes out. So the confidence in this is a lot lower, but I could see this happening for sure. Let's take a look at what the European model has to say, and as you can see, it fully agrees that there will be cold air set up over the similar regions for the 4th through the 14th. It has a tiny bit less potent, but still very potent for a 10-day increment, so I feel really good about that. Let's quickly take a look at those teleconnections, and as you can see, this is our Arctic oscillation. Anything below that black line is pretty much going to encourage cold air in the United States, and as you can see, we are far below that black line, and we're going to move even further below that black line. We're at about I would say like a 3.5 right now, negative 3.5 on the AO. And we're going to move towards a negative 5, or possibly even negative 5.5 potentially towards the 8th. So that is extremely far negative AO there. So, and as you can see, it creeps back towards positive as we reach closer to the 20th. So that could be why that pattern gets warmer and warmer and warmer as we get closer to the 20th. Let's take a look at that North Atlantic oscillation. And this also encourages cold air, but also just it sets up great patterns for snowstorms in the eastern United States when it is in its negative phase. And as you can see, it is negative and it's going to head even further negative. So this could encourage some of those snow events as well during this Arctic invasion. Here's that PNA, and really when it's negative, that typically means a lot of cold air for the western United States. And when it's positive, it means a lot of colder air for the eastern United States. The AO is so negative and there's so much colder air that it doesn't really matter what phase this is in, because pretty much everybody's going to be seeing cold. But you can see it does creep towards positive as we reach about the 13th. So I think that's why that cold air eventually makes its way further and further east, as we saw earlier on in the video, as we were taking a look at that colder time frame. The 8th through about the 14th, we saw that transition from mostly the western and central United States eventually over to the eastern United States. That's that PNA switching from negative to positive there. Our confidence tab, we are high confidence, at least for like the 5th through the 10th, we feel very good. 5th through, or like let's call it the 10th through the 15th, we feel pretty good. And then beyond that, obviously the confidence goes down. But as far as if this polar vortex is going to happen, we have a 6 out of 6 confidence that we will see that Arctic outbreak happen. So we are overwhelmingly confident that we will have that Arctic outbreak for especially the north central United States. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, how much snowfall do you think will occur with this snowstorm that is going to be happening today, actually, through tomorrow? I don't have any updates for you guys, so that's why I decided to talk about this instead. But James Marr said, I think an isolated spot of 15 inches in the upper peninsula of Michigan is very possible, and I definitely agree. I think that is definitely possible, 15 inches plus for those regions. Anyway, for today's Patron Highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons: Sebastian Tao, John Benbenick, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Alan Belemo, Adam S., Larry LePan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis, alongside our Diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Michael Buell, Terry Curtis, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Alicia Davis, Mark J., Luke Vallejo, Gary's, and John Quilisi. If you would like to be on this Patreon screen of the day, you could do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.